It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. I had to go get my own bell. This is ChipChat. Welcome to ChipChat. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez? I'm not here. Oh, Tez isn't here. Hey, Brian, who are you?
I think he said who I am.
Yeah, Brian's here.
Well, then again, I do have multiple personalities.
That's right. Depending on which show you're watching on this network, you're getting a different version of Brian. Tonight, he gets to be Brian.
Yes.
Sometimes he's a game master.
Yes.
Sometimes he's the whitest man on the radio.
Yes.
Sometimes he's the angry cowboy-looking guy
that doesn't support the Cowboys.
Yeah. He's got a lot of alter egos.
Yes.
Speaking of people with alter egos, we have a guest tonight who we're going to get to talk to. Very excited to talk to him. Tarek Davis is going to be joining us. You probably know him from all of the great stuff that he does. He's a writer. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He's a filmmaker. We're going to talk about that. It's going to be great. We have to discuss the pending war between various countries that start with the letter I. We didn't want to do that. We keep not wanting to do that, but we do have to mention that.
India and Indonesia?
Yes, those are the two.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to be sure.
It's going to be battle between
good curry.
and
not James Curry, not Steve Curry.
Different. No, they're not that kind of curry. Yeah. If you were waiting for some stuff, it may be sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the debate roll away.
Wasting time.
Really proud of myself for that one. Jack Smith had some new stuff to say about the former guy. What's the word we now use for MF? Former president.
There it is.
Yes.
Got to get the pause.
That former president over there.
Yes.
Yeah. And we borrow wives for photo shoots. Not that kind, Brian. Take it easy. We know what you're into. Not the rest of you. I don't know what kind of wife thing you're into, but there's going to be a lot of stuff. Tez even wrote stuff for the show tonight, and then he's not here. The reason he's not here is because he's not here.
Yeah.
We don't know why he's not here. No, he told us, but we're not going to tell you unless you give us some money.
Donate to your...
Yeah, right. Also, it is Pledge Drive.
Yes,
they're warming up for Pledge Drive. I'm sure you hear them talking about it. They need $500,000 or whatever. It's like, this is the right kind of ransom. But I shout out to our good friend Esther Chamakili. If you can do the thing where we can buy our way out of Pledge Drive, like you did previously, where it's like raise $1 million before the Pledge Drive and we don't have to go through Pledge Drive, we're going to do it. So you tell me how much money I have to give to make it not happen. I'll give you the money. Just shut up. Put the news back on.
Show me the money.
Yeah, I don't want to hear all this. Well, you listen and now you have to pay. It's like, we know. We're all sustaining members. Everybody's a sustain. Why are they still begging for money if we're all sustaining members?
I guess, well, yeah, especially with new people. You want to bring in new people.
The new people, when you move to a city, you find the public radio station, you join, you can become a member of the public radio station, don't you? Okay. Then.
Supposed to.
Supposed to. You're a responsible citizen until Ted Cruz takes it away. All right. So we're going to do all of those things. Brian, do you have a word?
Yeah, I got a word. I got a word.
Okay. Well, I had a word. All right. Yeah, we're gonna try it. All right. So sit back, grab some
kiffness.
It's AstroTurf time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, ChipChat on Beltway Radio and Beyond.
Sweeps. But before we go,
yes.
We have the lovely teaser to our guest's documentary called Doc. So enjoy.
I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white.
The Twilight Zone.
So let's deal with the elephant in the room. You're a time traveler. That's a bold claim.
All right. Well, that was our trailer of our guest who we're about to talk to. Tarek Davis is one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter. And when he was on TV, and now with the Tigers winning, he's probably the second most famous Tarek in popular culture at the moment. He was the co-star of the Amber Ruffin Show, which was fantastic. And he's a brilliant person in his own right. Tarek Davis, welcome to Chip Chat.
Hey.
We are really excited to talk to you. But first, we need to ask you an important question. We know you are a Jersey guy and a football guy. I got that right?
I used to play football. Yeah, I haven't been I'm not up to date with the season. I haven't been really watching the season. So,
well, that's not what we're going to ask you. We want to ask you: are you Jets or Giants?
Giants.
Okay.
Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, let me hold his touchdown ring when I played Pop Warner, and that was a wrap.
That seals it. Okay. Well, good. I am married to and the son of a lifelong Jets fan. They are sad people. So I just wanted, make sure I knew who I was talking to before we got too far down that one.
My condolences.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay. So that little clip that we just played is a clip from or trailer from your new movie that you've got. When is it coming out?
So we will be releasing it online shortly.
Okay.
So watch the space. We're looking to release it later in the end of the month.
Okay. See, you heard it here first. But tell us about it. This is a document about Doc. It's a doc about Doc, I guess.
Doc. It's a fictional doc about a Black time traveler called Doc. The full title of the film is called Doc: Race, Revolution, Relativity, and the Confessions of a Time Traveling Terrorist. So very long, provocative title, but as you can, I don't know if the viewers can see in the trailer, I took a lot from the 60s, and there's a lot of pop culture and real political events mixed in, Star Trek and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. And yeah, so the premise of this short film, it's like a found footage documentary of this lost talk show where the host is surprised to find out that his guest really is a time traveler, and it gets deeper than that. He's more than a time traveler,
And he sort of shows up in like a lot of, I don't know, in the stills I saw. He's always seems to be there when something important happens.
Always seems to be there when something important happens, and I don't want to spoil the short film. It's 30 minutes, and so when we release it, your audiences will understand why was this guy, there, was he was on the grassy knoll, and he was there when Kennedy got shot. When MLK got shot, and so my parents came out of the 60s. I'm fascinated by that era. I have been as long as I can remember. And so, and there were a lot of books and films that kind of informed this film. The book and the film Spook That Sat by the Door is an amazing film called Brother John by Sidney Poitier, which I think is his best film he ever did. Which, going into kind of Black revolutionary politics and throwing time travel in there and throwing pop culture in there. And this is the baby of all of that.
We are very definitely your target audience for that. I just want to be clear. You must have been watching our show.
Mm-hmm. I got a question.
Yeah, Brian has questions.
Yeah, especially about the
Brian's a nerd too.
Yeah,
so
I'm a nerd.
Great.
So if anyone sees the trailer, there's a clip of the introduction of the original Doctor Who,
right.
And pretty much I want to know, was that your inspiration to write this? Because Doctor Who kind of gets involved in some very major historical things, mainly just to help. But I believe in this case, this Doctor is right. Not. But is that partial inspiration from that?
I mean, I will say absolutely. I'm a big Doctor Who fan. We have Doctor Who calendar hanging up on my wall, and the name Doc is very evocative of Doctor Who. I will say, if you are a fan of Doctor Who, you're going to enjoy the short. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a connection.
Okay. Do you have to watch it in a
Yes.
phone booth?
You do not.
Actually, it's
You do not.
Oh, whatever. I don't watch that show.
You do
It
not
comes
have
with
to watch it
TV,
in a
it's
TARDIS.
too complicated.
But, yeah.
All right, so you're pretty well known for your time on the Amber Ruffin show, where you were fantastic. What was that like? And did you like to sing and dance before, or did Amber just sort of make you do that a lot?
I don't like to sing and dance as much as Amber likes to sing and dance, but I
don't
enjoy
think
it
anybody
quite a
does.
bit. I don't think anybody on the planet does. Broadway is in her blood and veins. I had a blast doing that show. Me and Amber, we met in Amsterdam doing comedy at Boom Chicago, where we had to do a lot of singing and dancing and freestyling, and that was kind of where we bonded and where we met. And a lot of that comedy that we did for years overseas for European audiences, and being very, you're performing for audiences that, for the most part, English is their second language. So as a performer, you have to be more presentational than you would be if you were performing comedy here in the States. So you're bigger, you're brighter, and singing and dancing is a part of that. And when Amber got her show, she kind of transferred what we were doing from Boom and, put that in the DNA of the Amber Ruffin show.
Well, I love the show, and I watched it all the time. One of the things that I really liked about it, and with our show, is a politics show. It's about making fun of the news. You guys often get into that, and what we also seem to have very much in common about these type of shows is going a really long way for a very dry, bad pun or stupid joke that only we know is coming, but we think is really funny, and even if the audience doesn't like that.
Yeah, but
so what do you like those, or do they just sort of come up?
They would sort of just, that would be like the genius of Amber and like the writer's room, and like sometimes they would overhear Amber and me doing bits, and that would make it into like the next week's sketch. And like a sketch would become, I love the long walks. And that was kind of Amber and my humor of like, like you said, going a long way for a bit. And like, luckily we had a lot of writers who were on that same level, just like, it's not necessarily about the joke, it's the journey.
Yeah.
And I personally believe, like, the more inside joke you have, the inside jokes you have, the more inside the feel, the audience is going to have more fun because they feel like, I think one of the things that worked so well for the Amber Ruffin show is we were really just two kids in a basement, right? Just messing around. Especially in that first season, there wasn't an audience. And, we really had like, no idea how this was going to work. And so what we did was kind of did the bits we would do, whether the cameras were there or not, for each other. And I think that endeared an audience. I think that also, and then when we did get an audience, like they felt like they were part of it because they were.
I also agree that like the inside part of it really works. I think that's why really long running things with a lot of like, inside jokes or Easter eggs or whatever you want to call them, they really capture people's, I'm thinking of like Futurama, which, every time it goes away and comes back, but the people who have been with this show for so long, like there's little things that that when you do see them, you feel like, oh, that was for me. And I think that's a great way to connect with your audience.
Yeah, it's and I it's a really, it's risky.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the suits don't always get it, but I think it's like that's the diamond, right? That's the diamond in the rough, and a lot of my favorite comedy does that. I remember in the heyday of the Chappelle Show, like he would have that janitor on, or the dude who would do the weird robot dance, like, and it was just, I you didn't need to fully get it. It was something that the writers' room or Dave himself found funny, and so they were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna have this guy do the robot," and then it catches on and becomes, and that was like pre-meme, but became a meme.
I love that. So I don't want to pound on this idea about the comedy writing thing, but I do have some questions. So you did political comedy on the Amber Ruffin show, and if people follow you on Twitter, they're going to see that you often have comments on politics and things that are going on. And so I want to ask you, like, just comedy writer to comedy writer, funny guy pretending to do radio to another funny guy who's much more successful.
You're doing it right now, man. You are doing it. You got a
We're trying.
platform. You're making it happen.
We're trying. Thank you. Do you think that it's worse to call JD Vance a couch fucker or Trump sucker?
I think couch fucker is worse because I think we all really think it happened.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
And
you
like,
can't convince me it didn't.
yeah, it seems innocent enough. Like, it's not, but like, because a couch is an inanimate object, right? But like, it's such a indicator of depravity. It's just like, ooh, you had no game, right? Like, you had no friends, you had nothing, to the point where it was just you and a couch, right? Like, even if you denied it and it never happened, the image is there. As for the latter, like, I don't think anyone really believes, anything intimate is happening between JD and Trump. The JD and a couch?
Yeah, totally plausible.
Yeah.
I especially because he gives off the vibe of like utterly unlikable loser that you can catch it. So do you think that he had some sort of a lifetime ban from like Brookstone or any of those other places with the vibrating stuff? Or like you think he snuck in every now and then?
Yeah, I mean, if the universe were just, he's not allowed anywhere near any furniture store. He's not allowed in IKEA, even like he's even into like the international laws of IKEA are still effective against JD Vance, and they should be.
JD Vance is so into furniture, he would fuck a flat pack.
Yeah, he's box crating it right now, man. Like, he's
all right. So you're also pretty well known for being a comic book guy, right?
I'm a comic book nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. So we recently had the creator of Universe Comics on, and they've got their Enigma episode 2 just came out. So if you haven't gotten that, go to Universe Comics, Universe YOUNAVERSE, Universe, the way I think it's spelled, because I don't know how to spell. Have you ever gotten any of their stuff? And then also, what do you find makes a good comic book?
I have not heard of Universe Comics, but I want to check them out. Thank you for that recommendation.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
For me, I think what makes a good comic book, I think a few things. I mean, because comic books, it's such a huge term, right? You can do the Western comic books, noir, horror. A lot of people think about superhero comics, but the medium is bigger than that.
Sure.
But I think for me, I'm a sucker for story, and for me, comics are such a, I think there are a lot of comic aficionados who may think what I'm about to say is sacrilege, but they're so cinematic, and that's I've been rereading because I used to work in a comic book store in the 90s and early 2000s, and one of the comics that really grabbed me was a comic called Planetary.
Brian loves that one.
Yeah, I really believe Planetary expanded my consciousness when I was when other people were doing weed and I was just free basing Planetary comic books. Um, but yeah, that comic book was it was taking what was it was Warren Ellis and John Cassaday, the R.I.P. Incredible artist, but it was taking well-worn tropes, like superhero genre or science fiction, all these different genres, and presenting them in a new way or shedding them in a new, like showing them in a new light. And for me, I think that's one of the best things comics can do because you don't need a budget outside of the pen and paper and like a good artist. And so you can take the story anywhere. But if you can take a story that people know or think they know and flip it on its head and take the reader on a familiar but completely unexpected journey, that's magic, right? It's like if you take somebody like JD Vance and you're like, all right, look at this really conservative guy, but did you know that he also likes to get intimate with inanimate objects that are meant for comfort and rest? Oh, all right, I'm on board. Where's the story gonna go? And then you're there.
What
All
would
right.
the title of the JD Vance Couch Fucker comic series be?
oh, oh boy. Foo Town.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that. Let's see. JD Vance, the homosexual.
Okay. Oh, all right.
That's good. Yeah, I like that one. I think there'd be a series, right? It'd be called the Pull Out series, and then
Nice.
and
Yeah.
it would all work together, right? And
Yeah.
it's not great. I'm sorry.
With little stories cushioned in between.
That's right. Yeah, just fit them right in there. Maybe when you buy the books, if you search around between the pages, you can find some loose change.
You can, yes. Oh yeah, you get like
It'll be
there's
squishy.
It'd be sticky,
Sticky.
sticky,
sticky change. Sticky change. That should be the publishing
change.
company.
That's the name of the book right there.
That's the name of the book
Sticky
right
change.
there.
Yep.
Sticky change.
Sticky change.
Oh, I have a question for Tarek.
Yeah.
With comics, I remember Bill Maher said that he wasn't really a fan of this new genre of comics, and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC coming with their stuff. Do you feel like we're oversaturated with it, or do you feel like this is just finally getting its legs and being fully accepted to the masses?
It's a great question. I don't know. I don't think we're being oversaturated. I think what we're experiencing is a lack of a full spectrum, right? Like I'm fine if a big blockbuster comes out every summer, right? What I particularly miss, so this past weekend I showed, two films that I love to my partner, my girlfriend, and one was Sneakers with Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd. A great, spy comedy that has elements and shades of 3 Days of the Condor and like other Redford films. Fun, great, crowd pleasing film. Was maybe 50 million, not even $50 million. Was maybe like 30 to 40. Right? Those films, and the other was The Paper with Michael Keaton and Robert Duvall and Glenn Close. An incredible film. And these were like mid-budget to a little lower than mid-budget films. And you'd get to see these great casts come together, and you get to see these actors come together and really work their chops. And then Keaton would do a Batman.
Yeah.
Right? And like you get to see his versatility, you get to see, and there was stuff for everybody. And right now, I feel like the superhero genre has a target on its back because it seems that's what's only getting made. And people are like, it's oversaturation. I'm like, no, it's just there's not enough of the other stuff because the studios, as a filmmaker, this is what I'm coming up against of like, hey, trying to make smaller films, you know, you know, trying to, not even the mid-budget films that were, my faves in the 80s and 90s, but just like smaller films. So, it's going to be harder for the next Tarantino or De Palma or, Spike Lee, because where are they going to cut their teeth?
Yeah, they don't have any place to really practice or make something that some people are going to see and that might get them an opportunity or whatever. When you were making Doc, did you show it to somebody and then they go, "That's great. Where's Spider-Man?" Did that happen?
No, that didn't happen. Like Doc is, we finished our festival run in August and we had an incredible run and incredible feedback, and like that was a dream. But like sadly that particular short film didn't get to the space of having a meeting. No, that's not true. But the person I had the meeting with was also just like, yeah, how are we gonna do this, right? Like because right now the film industry, all the entertainment industry in total is really hurt.
Yeah.
Post pandemic, post strike, everybody is struggling right now, and to get things made, that I had one project that got really far. And I don't know if you saw recently, we just were told that this project, which was an IP that we had 2 directors wanted to be a part of. I can't, for legal reasons, like get into the specifics, but it was a known IP. We had known talent attached, but it didn't. Recently, we just found out it's not going forward, and we were told because of rights issues. But then I look on the news and I'm like, studios. So today that studios are assembling. This is from Discussing Film. We've seen it in a few other articles. Studios are assembling superfan focus groups to assess various materials for a franchise project to avoid social media backlash.
Okay.
And this IP that we basically built a whole car to take to the studio, and we got to the studio and they were like, because this IP that we didn't own, but we got the okay from the owners, would have involved black leads. And
the studios are what, afraid of the comment section? I mean, what are we talking about here? This is ridiculous.
Yeah. They're afraid of the comment section. Yeah. And so it's a, and that's, you're seeing that everywhere. And like, when you start seeing like people who, we talked about some people who have made names for themselves, when you see them struggling to get a project forward, and then you take into equation, like I do, I was I coach acting on the side to pay some bills, and I was talking to an actress today, and I had to say like, hey, you're also, you should keep your head on and keep going and doing all the great things you're doing, but know that you're also now just competing with other actors in the pool. You're competing with social media stars, and that's a whole new market now, where that has really, that studios are like, just like they made the mistake of like, hey, maybe we ought to go into streaming and leave this really successful money-making machine called network television and cable behind, right? Like now everybody's struggling, and now they're going and they're looking at, social media personalities who's, a lot of them are really great, not knocking them, but it's taking something that worked, and you're taking the whole industry with you, and the legs were fragile to begin with.
I have another. It kind of in relation to what you just said. I get the sense, the feeling like the studios are pretty much. I kind of keep seeing the same actors doing multiple things. I know they
Yeah.
want to get those big names and all that stuff. I mean,
They sign them to a contract.
yeah, I
It's
understand
then
the
they gotta do,
contract
like,
aspect,
8
but
movies or whatever.
but no, but the thing is like various. You can see this one person being in 8 different movies with 3 different studios. What
Yeah.
I feel like is for someone like yourself or anybody else, is it difficult to really get yourself, kind of like you said, you were a fan of the 60s, and pretty much in the 60s, like anybody can be a star on any production because they just want to get themselves out there. Is it really that difficult now? Because pretty much the studios and networks are stating the fact that, hey, we just want these big names so we can get these big checks back.
I mean, I'll speak for myself personally. It's been difficult. I am fortunate that I'm able to, I'm versatile enough to figure out how to keep a roof over my head and food in my refrigerator, right? But like, the work, I started in theater, and then was overseas where I did Amber. When I came back, I got an agent. I came back in like 2007. I booked my first national in 2009, made the most money I'd ever made in one go. And like from 2009 to like 2012, things were incredible financially. And then something changed. And like, I 2009, I made so much money. I had to join the union, had to join SAG, which I was happy to do.
Congratulations.
AFTRA was a different union at that point. It wasn't SAG-AFTRA.
Right. They hadn't merged yet.
They hadn't merged because TV, like, you had actors who were just doing like guest spots in TV and like paying mortgages. And you had actors who were just doing commercials and paying mortgages. And then when streaming came along, and that's when, in 2000, I forget, 2008, 7, like there was that strike then. And the deal that, we kind of kicked the can down the road because the studios were like, well, we don't know what the money is going to be, so we can't promise you, right? And so that was kind of our bad. And hindsight being 2020, we know how we got screwed. But all those actors that you would see, like, just think about commercials for a second. Don't think about any other media. Think about the amount of commercials you grew up with where you would see an actor whose name you never knew. You might see them in a few commercials, but you might see a bunch of actors. Think about the commercials today. It's usually a celebrity, right? Like Ryan Reynolds talking about, here's me doing my 100th cell phone commercial, right? Like, I saw that transition and it was a huge hit.
We talked to somebody who did voiceover stuff, and that was one of the things that they mentioned, is that voiceover work used to go to a bunch of unknown people who were great voiceover people doing commercials, doing radio spots or whatever, and now that's almost all well-known voices. John Hamm has like 5 gigs, doing voiceover stuff, and it's like, when are we leaving anything for anybody else? If 20 or 30 people are getting all of the jobs, and I'm not just talking about the acting jobs, but they're getting all of the jobs. Where is everybody else going to go?
Yeah, no, and like, you don't want to knock actors securing their bag, right? Like I was a voice of Burger King breakfast, and for like 2 years, missed those checks. But
Did
then
you
you
see
see
Burger
this.
King?
Yeah, I used to sell their breakfast burrito, right? Like, but yeah, it's the same thing with film and the same thing with television. You're seeing like the same actors, and I will say, to go back to the superhero film thing, if there is anything that's oversaturated, it's like I hate when I see people online talk about a superhero film and like, oh, you should cast so and so, and it's the same actor you just saw in the other superhero, right? Like,
Yeah.
like there's no and I don't want to disparage casting directors. I don't think it's their fault. I think there are mandates, but those conversations seem to be the same conversations that are being held by studio heads and like, hey, let's cast Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom. And I was like, but he was just Iron Man. Like, I love Robert Downey Jr., but as a comic book nerd, I would like to see something familiar, but in a different way. And that's not, for me, Robert Downey Jr. playing, like, he had his time in the sun and he ended it perfectly.
Yeah.
But that's my comic book nerd coming out.
Speaking of the MCU, like they have employed basically everybody at this point. So, they are doing their best to make sure everybody gets a piece of that pie.
Yeah, you will expect that you'll get a 10-year deal in like a month or so.
Yeah,
so.
and all you have to be is like a tiny bit famous, and you'll end up in the MCU. That seems to be out. They called me. I told them no. I was too busy doing this show.
Yeah.
You said you're competing against social media folks. Let me tell you, the checks that they throw at people like me, tremendous. Tremendous. We are look at our studio. We're living in the life of luxury here. We're going to buy all of Alex Jones's stuff with all the free money that we're getting just for doing this show.
I hope you do.
Yeah. Oh, we can't wait. We actually looked it up today. The auction doesn't happen until November 13th, but we are gonna buy. We're trying.
I did watch your episode about that, and I hope you get all the stuff.
We are going to do that. We're hoping we can buy the Turbo Force. That's the goal. I want the rights to Turbo Force. We're gonna have so much fun with that. I do want to ask you. You're a writer. You're a funny guy. You're a comedy genius.
Oh,
can you come up? Well, thank you. Can you come up with ways to make our show funny?
I mean, I think you guys are doing it. What are you looking for anything in particular?
No, we just want to be, get, I don't know, funny. I don't know what to call this. This is not good. This is what it is. We just do the same thing. We've been doing this for almost a decade, and it's over and over and over, and we're just making fun of the news. And it's like, that's really, really funny.
I'll tell you where you can never go wrong. Role play.
Okay.
You never go wrong when someone is like, if you are, especially in lieu that JD Vance isn't.
I was going to say, I'm a little worried where we're going with the role play conversation after we were just talking about Couch Fucker Vance, but go ahead.
But that would be a man you would want to hear from, right? In the space of imagination, like comic books, you have the ability to make it happen.
We have on occasion leveraged our let's call him occasional adjunct to the show, Charlie. We've leveraged our friend Charlie, who can do all the voices of everybody, to allow us the opportunity to interview people that we wouldn't otherwise get a chance to interview.
Having the Perry
Trump,
Manis,
Mike Lindell,
Perry Manis.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
we had. That's true. We did have. What was something DeSantis?
Yeah.
Eamon DeSantis, the praying mantis, who made an appearance in a Nats ball game on the hat of one of the outfielders. We were able to get an interview with him, which was really difficult. Praying manti, not great on the radio.
I would also add the thing we covered earlier about just those personal bits, man. Like that's what people remember.
Jokes. No, nobody thinks they're funny, but we've got them.
Like I still, I went to, like I said, I went to college in the late 90s, and I remember even if I had a class crack of dawn in the morning, I would stay up to watch Conan O'Brien's show back when he was in New York, because those bits, like that, to me, just watching that show, I felt like was comedy training.
So it's funny that you bring that up, because I was talking about this with somebody the other day, that I think a lot of the way I think of myself as being funny is being Norm. And there is, we talked earlier about how you like the long walk, right? There is nobody on the planet better at the long walk than, well, he's not on the planet anymore, but ever on the planet than Norm Macdonald. And especially when he is on Conan without Conan or Andy having any idea what's about to happen. And he is just taking them on this 10-minute journey to land a terrible joke. Yeah. And it is so good. Absolute gold. Yeah.
He's they don't make pros like that anymore. Yeah. You know, like he was you know, I love the kind of the comic who I don't really care if the audience is with me right now. Yes. I know where I'm going. Maybe I don't, but you know, I am like that fucking twinkle in that guy's eye. Like you would stay with him.
I love the way Norm would just stretch these things out. And it's almost as much fun to listen to Norm tell one of these meanders that lands poorly, which he knows it's going to land poorly, and he's enjoying that. That's fun. Watching Conan squirm about that is equally hilarious because he's like, I got to get out of this. I want this to end. I need a commercial, something, and he can't. He's stuck there, and Norm knows it. He's got a captive audience. There's nothing funnier.
And like Conan is no slouch, right? Like, at all. I still think of chairman of the board. BORED. You know, it's just talk about, like we all like to think on our best day we're that quick, but man, I don't know.
No, I don't think anybody's as quick as Conan. All right, Tarek, we know that people want to follow you, and we want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody where to follow you and to get all of your stuff, and stay tuned for your new movie and all of those things. So where should they go if they want to follow you and all of that stuff?
You can find me on Twitter. I still call it Twitter.
We still call it Twitter.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Tarek R. Davis. And that same handle is my Instagram handle and my TikTok handle.
There you go. I don't have the TikTok. Brian, do you have the TikTok?
No, the Chinese.
Yeah, I'm not giving my face to the Chinese, but
you're smart. You're smart.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Well, if you think AI and streaming are bad, wait till they get a hold of it. And you said the film is coming out like this month, you said?
Yeah, we're looking to drop it at the end of the month around Halloween. If that doesn't work out, it will definitely be early November.
Okay. So here's the question. You have two choices. One, you can say it's a school night and say thanks for having me and adios and see you later. Or after the break, you can come back and co-host the rest of the show with us if you'd like.
I have to call it. I would love to do this again though.
We will definitely take you up on that. We will have you back after the movie comes out, and you can tell everybody how it goes, and if the election goes and we're still allowed to do the show. We'll see. Yeah. We're a little worried about that.
Yeah, we're all holding our breath.
Yeah, go vote if you're eligible. Don't vote if you're not. Right. And election day is November 5th, unless you're a Republican. Then it's a different day.
Okay, I'm going to be like,
don't
stop
do
that.
Sorry, I'm not supposed
it's Christmas. If you're a Republican, it's on Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. See, I'm not the only one. All right, Tarek, one more time, everybody can follow you where?
You can follow me at Tarek R. Davis. It's TARIKRDAVIS.
There you
on
go.
Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok.
And you can catch him all over the place doing all kinds of great things, and go watch all of his stuff. It's fantastic. And follow him on Twitter. It's like my favorite part of Twitter. For the time that it works, sometimes it doesn't load.
I'm so happy this worked out.
Thanks, man. We really appreciate it. I'm so honored to get a chance to talk to you. We're going to take a break. We're going to let you go rest up for whatever you're going to conquer tomorrow. Maybe it's that dock strike. Thank you for solving that. We appreciate it. All right. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Sweet Street Balls.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like the frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point.
Gary Frogs. Quack, 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 quack. Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I am your host, Chip. With me is Brian, filling in for Tez tonight.
Come Benoit.
That was that was Alex Jones. But
Before that was the Kipness.
The Kipness.
I introduced in the show.
Yes.
So, and I actually, we've been playing some Kipness songs the last couple weeks. So when I saw this one, I was initially, there was another video I saw, but then I saw, Kipness, and I was like, okay, we'll play this one because we played them before, and it works out. So mind you, this is one of two, so you won't see it this week, but next week. And also speaking of next week, we holding off the Vader sessions because we were kind of running down to the last two episodes
left, really.
Yeah, so
last two.
Yeah, roughly the last two. So we'll save those for the next final 2 weeks.
All right. And if you missed our conversation with Tarek Davis, go back and check it out when you watch this in replay tomorrow, which I'm sure you're going to do.
Or get your time machine and
if you're like Doc, you can go back in time and check it out.
I should have asked him which was his favorite doctor.
Well, when he comes back, you can ask.
Yeah, so I gotta ask.
Okay, so now we've come to the part of the show. It's called the Rundown. This is where I tell you about some stuff that's gone on in the news. If we were professionals, it would sound a little something like this.
From Beltway Radio and Beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jay. Great intro. Continues to be the best part of the show. All right, so we need to talk about the debate, right? There was a debate this week. It was called a debate. It was two Midwestern dads gently disagreeing with each other for the most part. I fell asleep, and it's my job to watch it. And
you fell asleep on this debate.
I fell asleep during a debate, knowing that it's my job to watch the debate and tell you all about it. Yeah, it's my bad. I knew I could watch it later. It was late. Why do they schedule these things so late?
I think again, it's as always. Their main concern is the West Coast, so make sure that those West Coast numbers are key, which I don't get.
Those people chose to live there. That's their fault.
That's true. So my roommate, she gets home around like 10:30 or something. She asked me, "Is it a paint over?" It's like, yeah. It's like, when? I told her like about half hour ago, and it's like, damn. It's just like, I guess I'll see the highlights, and that's what it kind of treated like. It's like, watching, you want to see like a Pac-12 game, and or maybe what you just can't because it's so late.
Yeah, it's impossible to watch. And so this was also a little impossible to watch because JD Vance was in it. But Coach Walls struggled a little bit early on.
So I heard
he had a little trouble getting his feet under him because he was he was nervous. It's his first time in this situation. Totally understandable. JD Vance struggled less, mostly because he doesn't have human emotions. Vance tried to, one of two things was on display during Vance's answers about abortion. One plausible answer is that he was lying about things and saying that he wanted to be more compassionate in the messaging about abortion and stuff. But he never really came out and said, hey, we need to make these choices available to people who need them when they need them. But what he did say was he knows people who have had abortions. He knows people who this has affected their lives in a positive way. So the other possibility is we saw the Republican Party shifting its position on abortion in real time. That's very unlikely. Very unlikely. But I will say, having discussed this at length, that if that does happen, right? If Trump goes out and tells everybody, all right, you know what? We're all going to be pro-choice and abortion is not the thing we're going to fight about anymore. And they all go for it. Great. It's fantastic. These people are devoid of any real policy. They're devoid of any real system of beliefs. I think for the most part, they are only interested in what Dear Leader tells them. If Dear Leader says we're going to ban assault weapons, they're all going to be like, yeah, I've been wanting to get rid of these assault weapons for years. I've got hundreds of them, but I never wanted them. And then the same thing about abortion. He could come out and say, hey, look, people need access to reproductive care. There's various reasons. And, if they need it, they need it. And we don't really give a shit anymore. And they all go, all right, yeah, we're in. Fine. It's not going to be like, hey, you said no, I'm just going to take the win. Like, if that's what if they want to do that, man, that's fine. I don't think that's what happened. I think JD Vance was lying.
Because Walls came in, when it got to that, for him to answer the question, you get the sense of him, again, mentioning his personal stories.
Right.
And I felt like, mind you, Vice President Harris, again, mentioned those personal stories because it does have to resonate people. It's like, it affects these people.
These are real people.
Real people.
This is not an abstract.
Right. So with someone like JD Vance trying to answer it, he has it to him and to Trump and to any Republican who is quote unquote pro-life, to answer this, to them, I really fully believe they do not know anybody who and it's especially is like,
you think he made it up? He doesn't actually know somebody?
Well, besides that, the guy at the was it Bob's big house furniture store, maybe that person. But I mean, I just feel that give me a face of the person who's so pro-life and it affected them to make the decision to have the Abortion Act abolished. Tell me that person, why they wanted this gone.
So do you have some personal story where somebody knows somebody who had an abortion and it turned them into a anti-choice person?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that story.
I don't know that person.
Nobody has that story.
And the thing is like, again, I do agree that Walls came in here a little bit nervous because, again, like you said, this is pretty much his first time, especially, besides doing the stadium tour with Kamala. But I mean, JD Vance, he's been doing this for a while. He goes on all these.
He's a comms guy. His
He's
job
a comm
in the
guy.
military was comms. He went to Yale to study comms.
And he goes on these political talk shows, Sunday shows, and stuff like that, spewing out the same BS and all that stuff. And again, it's like he's used to this, but at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, we're used to you too bullshitting us. And I think a lot of people, as much as everyone would say he won this debate, really I felt like it was like I give him like maybe 2% lead on it because
I don't know that anybody really won this. I don't think this moved the needle much at all. But one of the things that was really interesting for somebody who is a comms guy like JD Vance is that he fell for and down the hole about the Haitian migrants thing again.
Right.
It got brought up. It had to get brought up. And instead of saying, look, there's immigration's a problem. We need to get that under control. We need control of our borders, and just left it at that. He went right back down the hole, and he's like, "Oh, these are illegals over there." And when the moderator is like, "They're not illegal. They have status," he got pissed off, and they had to cut his mic. That's a stupid mistake and an unforced error, and I don't know why he fell for it. And I saw it today. Somebody changed the "Don't tread on me" to "Don't fact check me." He's so mad about that. To be expressly clear, the people who we're talking about in Springfield, Ohio, who are Haitian migrants, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba, Venezuela, are people from those countries all qualify for what's called temporary protected status. The situation in their home countries is so bad that the government has granted them basically a reprieve. They're not subject to any of the other rules. They can stay as long as they like. It doesn't have to do with an app and pushing a button, JD Vance, and you fucking know better. It doesn't have to do with them sneaking or lying or doing anything. It's they're saying, "Hi, I'm here fleeing terrible circumstances," and the government's like, "Yeah, you are. Come on in. You can hang out here for a little bit till things calm down."
And everyone knows the Springfield mayor announces like they've been welcome. They're happy decent, happy to have them. They've been decent citizens and everything. So again, for someone who is supposed to be the senator of that state does not know that the people in that state are okay. And you admit the fact of lying so you can get whatever others, of your agenda out there. And it's like, I still don't get the fact that these people would listen to this. And then it's like, why would you lie something about that? Admit that you lied so that, again, give us more lies.
I don't know. They're just whatever. Fuck them.
Give him another couch.
Yeah, give him another couch. Yeah. JD will fuck him. So towards the end of it, though, they did get to this question of like, are you concerned about the transfer of power, and will Trump concede an election if he loses? And JD Vance lied, and he said, "Oh yeah, he peacefully transitioned power to the Biden administration." It's like, hey man, we were all here. We saw this happen in real time. Some of us live here in the Washington area, and like the attack on January 6th, this was not peaceful. Today alone, the Justice Department got several more guilty verdicts against people who did things in the Capitol and destroyed stuff. It's not nothing. And Walz really landed one with like, you really got to ask yourself, the first question was, January 6th was not Facebook ads, Walz shot back, citing Russian efforts. He asked him, if this is real or not, and Vance didn't answer. He's like, that's a damning non-answer. He then went on to say, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage.
That right there, that's the line, and that's slam dunk of how Trump is with accepting 2020's loss. It's
not just Trump; it's his whole organization.
It's true, and in addition to the fact, is like how Kamala came at him with it. Pretty much it so razzled him. He looked like the being electrocuted, and the person that he mocked about having a disability. Yeah. So here it is a good hit, and I think those type of hits, are always going to be damaging to the Trump Vance campaign because of the fact is like, you guys just can't accept defeat.
Why can't it? But the thing is, they all know it, right? So like, I saw this interview where Jim Acosta was talking to Corey Lewandowski, who's back to working for the Trump campaign after his affair with the dog killer Kristi Noem, and that's all true. And he's like, did Trump lose 2020? And Lewandowski was like, people don't want to talk about the past; they want to talk about the future. And Acosta was like, that's not what I'm asking you. Can't you just say, yeah, he lost, and now we're focused on the future? And he's like, he wouldn't say it. And then he kept mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name. And he was like, why are you doing that? You know good goddamn well what her name is. And you keep saying this other thing. Why? Why are you? And it's just unclear as to like why this is the thing. But they all do understand one thing is that the second they say, yeah, Trump lost in 2020, but we're trying to win in 24, they're fired. And if they want to stay on the team, they have to say this thing that makes no fucking sense.
I think that's the look. I any sports team, we're recently, we are Oriole fans. We realize the fact of
Gunnar Henderson struck out.
Yeah.
I saw it happen in real time. I'm not going to lie and say it didn't happen and that we're in the playoffs still. It's not true.
No. It's just like, mind you, we have our, typical things, we say, Monday night quarterbacking, saying the fact, oh, this happened and this is the reason why this happened. We can go through all that, but literally saying what you just said, I mean, honestly, it's like we admit, yeah, we lost because of this. Trump.
We don't even have to say because of. We just
yeah, we
lost.
lost.
We all have different theories about why, but we know we lost.
Yeah,
we're not lying about it.
No, but as long as the king of the orange peels still keeps saying that no, we haven't lost, or we're still finding those 11,000 whatever votes that he claims he's missing, and all that stuff. Like that's really enough. But again, admit you lost, and again, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's like if you admit you lost, and it's like we're fighting to get into back in the White House now, which I hope you definitely don't. Then we can understand where you're going with this. But no one in that camp, like you said, will say nothing.
It's like they say this thing, but then it's not like they just showed up to work on January 21st like they were still there. They all left. They all got it. They understood that. So what are we doing with this? It doesn't make sense to me. Speaking of things that don't make sense, Donald Trump. So it's probably not worth going down the rabbit hole about how rambling and insane he sounds these days when he's talking, because he's already really rambling and insane, even when he was, I don't even know what to call it, but let's say back in 2015 when he was running the first time. But what is happening is finally the papers are writing stories where they're saying, hey, it looks like Trump is in some sort of cognitive decline, which has been evidently true for a long time, but they were perfectly willing to write those same stories about Biden. Oh, Biden mispronounced the name of, some person once today. Is he okay? Should we be alarmed? Whereas Trump goes out there and doesn't make any sense. He's supposed to talk about the economy and he's hollering about windmills causing cancer or whatever the fuck. And they don't write, is Donald Trump okay? They write, oh, well, Donald Trump spoke for 35 minutes before taking any questions. Now, here is the opening line of the story from the Washington Post. Republican nominee Donald Trump spoke for 33 minutes before his first mention of the ostensible focus of his remarks, signs reading school choice, education freedom now, and let parents decide, decorated a small auditorium, and a panel of speakers preceding the former president focused on using public funds to let families choose between public and private, especially religious schools. Trump read from a binder containing a prepared speech on the subject, and he switched abruptly between the text and a jumble of other topics. We can be nice, we can be politically incorrect, but the only thing they're going to do there is cheat on elections. We just can't let this happen. And then it goes on to detail like, hey, this guy couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. Like, it's just, that's not, the story isn't Trump's crazy. The story is that the papers are finally writing about that.
So I think that is needed. I mean, mind you, I, Tez, everybody who talks about, this is, we've been saying it for a long time. It's like, this guy is just off his rockers. And I just talked to my mom. Happy birthday, mommy.
Happy birthday, Brian.
And she mentioned the fact is like there are times where she, loses a thought, or she has, and it again, it's a sign of old age.
Happens to all of us.
All of us. I think for Trump, he will, again, even while he was president, he will deny, his failing health if there was any, and whatever dent in his arm, because he wants to show that I'm strong. I have this army in front of me, but I'm strong, and I just feel like it's so annoying. And it's just like, look, there's something off. And I asked you this a couple weeks ago. Do you feels like will there come a time where you got to admit the fact, like, you're old, you're becoming slowly, your memory, is not as keen as it was back in your 80s. So I feel like, do we really want to have someone like him? Mind you, I really don't want him at all. But if you want someone like him to represent you in the White House, really? Because I mean, again, he'll be it if he does win, he'll be in his early 80s by the time he's out, or hopefully out.
When Trump ran in 2015, let's say he was more cognitively capable then. He was a mean, violent asshole then. He's now a less coherent, mean, violent asshole. And to his supporters, they already liked him as a mean asshole. They just like, and their identity is so tied to being a part of him, right? Their identity is Trumpista. It's not Ted who likes cars. It's Trumpista. If they walk away from being Trumpista, then they walk away from who they are. And because being a Trumpista is so eliminating of every other aspect of your life, you're now this and only this. You can't get to anywhere else. You're not acceptable anywhere else because you burnt all those bridges and you said all of this horrible stuff. Nobody will welcome you back into polite society. Now if you do momentarily look up and go, oh shit, this guy's lost it. He's not even the guy I've been following for the last 10 years. He's a slower, dumber version of that. Maybe I ought to get off this train. You'll look around and go, well, where's the exit? And there isn't an exit because you burned that bridge. There's nobody there so like we need to do our job and reach a hand out and say, look, if you're a Trumpista who has been with this for a while and you've said horrible things about immigrants, women, God knows what else, and you want out, you can get out. We will let you out. We're not gonna be like, pull you out and let you say, all right, I'm done with this. And we're not gonna be like, hey, I know you said you're done with it, but let me hold you accountable for all the dumb shit that you said the last 6-7 years. We're just gonna be like, hey, you said you're out. We're not gonna bring it up. We're just glad to have you back on planet Earth.
Okay.
That's what we gotta do.
I feel like I need to get the Sarah McLachlan music,
for
what you just said, because honestly, I'm gonna take it back to the VP debate.
You want to put him on the barge?
Well, besides that, but I kind of got the same thing with Vance because
he looks like he wants out.
I wouldn't say he wants out. I'm saying the fact that like he's getting that little bit of dementia because you are a senator. You see Kamala Harris constantly,
right?
In your chamber at your job.
She's the leader of the Senate,
right? So every time he kept saying, why doesn't Kamala do something, push for, those agendas that she says she's claiming to? And I kept yelling out, yo, moron, she's a vice president. She has no power to do that.
Right. And he knows better.
And he knows better. So again, I think he gets that playbook from the orange peel, because because he'll say things. He even said that even at the president debate, because it's like, dude, she's the vice president. She's number 2. She has no power like that yet. And you keep saying the fact that, oh, you should be doing this now. It's like she would love to. Wait until November 5th, hopefully.
Also, a lot of that stuff that these guys are like, well, why haven't you done it now? It's like, it takes an act of Congress. And this guy's in Congress, and he fucking knows that. He's just saying this stuff, it's all rhetorical. The problem is that kind of thing does, in fact, land for people who don't know the division of powers and, the system of government that we have. They think that the president can do anything. But Trump talks about it as if he can do anything once he's president.
But the thing is, it's even with Trump, it's in this crazy salad of gibberish.
Yes.
That it somehow is like, I kind of agree with Kamala saying, it's like you go to any of his rallies and you get to the point where it's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Well, to wit, here it is. Trump was more energetic during his speech to supporters in Wisconsin earlier Tuesday. He went on an extended riff about the 1987 film Full Metal Jacket, made up a false claim that Harris raised taxes as the San Francisco district attorney, which is not a power of that office. Trump avoided a direct question about how he would address the escalating violence between Iran and Israel by repeatedly insisting it never would have happened if he were president. He claimed that he would settle that war, as well as Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with a single phone call apiece, but he declined to specify how. I don't want to say what I'd use because I don't want to give up negotiating abilities, he said. He even boasted that with a second term, he could have struck a peace deal between Iran and Israel. He did not mention the vice presidential debate that happened on Tuesday or his running mate, J.D. Vance, at either of his events on Wednesday until an hour and 20 minutes into the news conference when he was directly asked what advice he would have given Vance. Quote, "Have fun," Trump answered. What the fuck? Just what the fuck? Yeah. Anyway. Do you want to take a break or you want to go right to international news?
We can take a break.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to take a break. Then we'll come back with the sad, depressing part of the show. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Cause there's something, baby, please don't cry. Yes, the silver saving from my guy. There's no getting off this hook. Cause there's no way in, there's no way out. But if something makes you sure, life's not a western, you're a whole life. Beautiful lies that can make you feel something. Cause there's no way now. Only blinds my eyes. Cause it shines like your shoes never. Cause the sun on your face never changed. There's a thought that's on me. Even more takes up your time. I won't call in a favor. Won't do it for free anymore. Shut up, won't you listen? Won't you love to me? Your beautiful dream, little more. Believe this love. Cause the sun on your face never changed. Won't you do it for me anymore? Cause when something makes you shut, 'Cause there's no way in, there's no way out. There's no getting up this foot. My life's just a western, you're born to fight. No luck all night, can you make it to sunset? 'Cause there's no way out. Only blood's night. Yeah, you sound like a fool and all in love. 'Cause the sun in your face never changed as a thought. That's on me here and all takes up your time. I won't call in a favor, I won't do it for free anymore. Shut up, won't you listen, won't you love to me, your beautiful dream, little more, we leave this life, 'cause the sun on your face never changed, won't you do it for me anymore? 'Cause the sun on your face never changed, as I thought, listen me, here and more takes up your time. I won't call in a favor, won't do it for free anymore. Shut up.
All right, welcome back to ChipChat here on Public Radio. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is Brian.
Hi again.
Tez is on assignment. That's what we always say.
Yes.
I don't know where
And
we
a sleep
assign him.
comfort assignment
He's resting.
without JG Vance next to him.
Yeah, hopefully not. Jeez, we don't know if he's on a couch or a bed, but
Yes.
either way,
Yes.
Godspeed.
Godspeed. Yes.
Shit. Brian was checking out the live stream on Nude Africa with Mark Robinson, and then he saw what they was tuned in, and the mini soldier was all into. He's leaving comment after comment after comment on this video about this guy with beautiful eyelashes from Ohio going to town on a chaise lounge. Do you think Mark Robinson leaves comments on couch porn featuring JD Vance?
I would think so.
This joke has really gone way too far.
See, that's what we need to stop. That's what Tarek
was talking about. We need more of these inside jokes.
Yes.
You just keep beating this joke to death, much like JD Vance in an IKEA catalog. All right. So now we've come to the party show where we're going to talk about some international news. Now, the big story, of course, in the international news is what's going on in the Middle East. And, you know, part of the responsibility of the show, to the extent that we have any kind of real responsibility, is that we can pick and choose what news we want to cover. And sometimes we do. Some things are a little too terrible. And sometimes we use our judgment and take a week or two off of a topic because it's too heartbreaking. It's too tragic. It's too painful to visit and discuss. But we didn't discuss anything about any of those conflicts last week. So this week we're going to, just because, I don't know, there's several dozen people who get their news from us. They shouldn't. If you're one of those people, go get a fucking newspaper. Stop this. But, all right. So here's what we got to talk about is that Israel, which is a country, has invaded Lebanon, which is another country. And, you know, in other instances where one country invades another country, the international community loses their shit about it and says that something has to be done. And in other cases, they more or less let them do it. In this case, this is the latter, where they're sort of more or less let them do it. Israel invaded Lebanon after a series of events. Basically, what happened was they blew up all of Hezbollah's pagers, which we talked about, and their walkie-talkies while they were all looking at them, and that caused catastrophic death to not just Hezbollah fighters, but to a bunch of people. Then the Israelis had some intel on where the leader of Hezbollah was. His name is Hassan Nasrallah. They figured out what building he was in, and they flattened it, like in one fell swoop. It wasn't even close. There was nothing left. It was a poof of dust. Then they proceeded to find and target the rest of the Hezbollah leadership. They killed all of them. They found a bunch of Hamas leadership hiding in Lebanon. They killed all of them. They're doing all of this with airstrikes and sophisticated attacks that, of course, Hezbollah can't fight back against because they don't have the wherewithal, because they shouldn't have the wherewithal. They're a terrorist organization. But the Israelis have been quite successful, I would say. From their perspective, they have managed to kill all of their targets that they've been after. They've also killed a bunch of extra other people that they maybe didn't mean to, but in their mind, that's okay. It's an acceptable collateral damage, I guess, to them. Killing Hezbollah leadership sparked a response from their bosses, which is Iran. Iran suffered a series of losses in the last little while, so they launched 200 rockets at Israel, nearly all of which got shot down by the Israelis with some help from the Americans and the Jordanians and a few others. And now we're just sort of sitting here waiting to see what Israel's going to do in retaliation to Iran. And, the more you interrogate this conflict, you have a lot of people who, if you frame the question in a vacuum about the particular question that you're asking, look like they're right. Okay? So if you say, suppose your country, doesn't have to be the United States, had somebody invade the country and kill 1,200 of your citizens and carry off several hundred hostages, what would you do? And there's no question, right? If you had the ability to, you'd fucking flatten them. Would you worry about civilian casualties? No, you wouldn't. You would be furious that this happened and that they broke into your territory and did this terrible, atrocious thing, and you would fucking kill everybody. Are you justified? Yeah, sort of by the rules of law or rules of war. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Now, suppose you frame the question in another way. The Israelis or some entity with tremendous, overwhelming power continues to bombard and destroy your entire existence. Would you fight back? Even if it's with weapons that are unlikely to do any serious damage? Yeah, of course you would. Would it piss you off? Yeah. Would you fire your rockets? Yeah. Even if they're not going to do anything? Yeah, you'd fucking do it. You would do it. They sound justified in that context. Who did what to who is a dangerous road to go down, because it goes back and back and back and back. And it's like counting moves in a chess game where you're trying to find out who started the game when you know that it doesn't matter, because all that you're looking at is death upon death upon death. Are the Israelis justified in going into Lebanon? Well, they would say, yeah, because rockets were coming from Lebanon into Israel. Are the Hezbollah justified in shooting rockets into Israel? Well, they would say they're justified because Israel occupied southern Lebanon for a long time and is killing their people in Gaza and other places. It's just that everybody can find a way to justify what they're doing. But in the end, hundreds of people, thousands of people are dead who don't have a dog in this fight. And the people who aren't dead are displaced by the millions. Their lives wrecked, destabilized, and all of those people are, if they're not already radicalized and ready to go fight and commit the next act in this terrible, tragic play, they're a step away from it. If you experience the pain of being uprooted from your home and forced to flee because of a bombardment, even if you don't understand it, whether it's people in northern Israel fleeing Hezbollah bombardment, whether it's people in southern Lebanon fleeing Israeli bombardment, those people know who bombarded them. They don't know the cause, maybe. They don't even have to know. But the second you tell them, hey, do you want a chance to go after them? Fuck yeah, I do. And they're mad, and they're going to stay mad for a generation, and their children are going to stay mad. This conflict that we're watching unfold here is sadly just another chapter in the long book that is this region. And looking at this with the considered mind of somebody who has family there, but is at least enough removed to try to take a dispassionate view of this, I see no resolution in sight. And it's too heartbreaking. It's too heartbreaking to really comprehend.
I know people who have family there who visited and things of that nature. It's still for me, an outsider. I really believe this is confusing. I don't, like you said, it is difficult to understand where anyone who tries to go in there and try to resolve any of this, because it's kind of like, I view it as it's a beef war. Yeah. Over something that is get started off with, someone just threw a pebble in someone's window. As much as, Biden's administration has tried to resolve this, I don't see anyone can.
No.
Because I think the leaders among these nations and a terrorist group feel like they have justification to do what they're doing, to the point where it's like, okay, you rather eradicate everything in around you and not get a sense of hey, can you chill this out and get some calmness into you, and so that way we can have some decent discussions. And I get the fact that you guys don't want to talk, but really we need to, because you are destroying everything that you claim that you want to own and protect and praise and all that stuff, because by the time you guys are done, all it is, you created your own new parking lot.
Yep. But there's another piece that I was talking to somebody today who he's from the Balkans, and he was telling me a story where, if you were a teenager or a young kid in Sarajevo during that time, and you're Bosnian, right? What Serbs, quote unquote, the Serbs did to the people there in Sarajevo was lay siege to the city for 4 years and kill everybody. And yes, there's peace now. And yes, these people share a lot in common culture, common language, a lot of cross marriage and interconnectivity within these communities. At the drop of a hat, if you tell somebody who lived through that time something about, hey, the Serbians said they were going to do this, even if it's not true, they believe it right away. And they are a feather's drop away from radicalization. If you tell them that the Serbians were thinking about coming to get them, they'll be like, fuck it, we're going to kill all of them now. They are so scarred and pissed off by this that even if they're behaving like they have reconciled, they're not reconciled. They're still carrying that anger. And to the extent that we talk about on this show, like burying it all and just say, everybody go make it into an amusement park and make all the money. Even if there was a way to create a sustainable, lasting situation without violence, where everybody is fat and happy, everybody's got jobs, everybody's got enough to eat, everybody has access to clean water, all of those things. Don't think for a minute that the people who experience violence at the hands of the other, whether it's one side or the other, they are not ever going to really let it go. And it's justifiable. I get it. If somebody bombs your village or somebody carries off your uncle as a hostage and you never get them back, you're never going to forgive them. It's just never going to work out for you. So I don't know what I really am wishing for here, but I'll tell you this: the Israelis have been catching a lot of W's lately.
But even though they're getting the W's, they're still losing.
Well, sure, they're losing in world support and they're losing in lives lost. I know that, but Netanyahu is winning because he's, one, still in power. Two, his popularity is going up, so his fear is going back. And there's no incentive for him to stop this. They execute the pager attack. Everybody in Israel loves it. They execute the walkie-talkie attack. Everybody loves it. They bomb Lebanon. Everybody loves it. All right, Iran struck them and didn't kill anybody. Now they've got basically a free check to retaliate. They can at least get one or two off before everybody goes, all right, now you've gone farther than they went. And the Israelis are known for that. They disproportionately respond all the time. And here again, you got several sides that are quote unquote right or justified. Did Hamas know that attacking Israel was going to lead to the destruction of Gaza? Absolutely. Are they guilty of those deaths in Gaza, knowing that they were provoking a genocidal maniac in Benjamin Netanyahu? Yeah, they are. Now, does that absolve Netanyahu of him being a genocidal maniac? No, it doesn't. Hamas knew what they were getting into, and they did it anyway, knowingly. Israel knows what they're getting into. When they attack Lebanon, they know it's going to provoke a response from Iran. They did it knowingly. Iran shot those missiles at Israel, knowing they weren't going to work, probably. And they know what's going to happen. The Israelis are not going to just let that one go, especially when they've been pressing their advantage and getting a lot of success out of it. They're going to try to kill the Ayatollah himself or blow up their nuclear plant or punch a hole through the middle of Tehran all the way down to the Indian Ocean. I don't know. But they're going to get away with it because who's going to stop them? And what comes next? Iran's whole apparatus is based on deterrence. Don't fuck with us or we will unleash Hezbollah. Don't fuck with us or we will unleash Hamas. Don't fuck with us or we will unleash the Houthis. All of their proxies have been defeated. Now those proxies are looking to Iran. Hey, we did our bit for you. Come and defend us. And Iran fires the missiles and they don't touch anything. They look impotent and weak. What are they to do? The Israelis are like, oh yeah, motherfucker, you shot at us. I'm sorry, former president, you shot at us. We're going to get you. And the Iranians' only response is, if you come after us, we're going to attack Saudi, or we're going to attack Kuwait, we're going to attack UAE. Look, man,
You'd rather fight south than facing north.
Well, if they go, the thing that they know is if they attack Kuwait, Saudi, or UAE, all of those countries have security guarantees from somebody, and that's us. So their only hope is to threaten a war that would drag the United States into it in direct contact and hope that the United States will talk Israel out of doing a thing. But as you have been very clearly able to see, the U.S. doesn't have the ability to talk Israel out of anything at this point. This is a fool's calculation and it's not going to work. And the only outcome here is going to be a lot more people dead, disruption of the global economy. It's going to make it less safe for people like me to be Jewish in America or anywhere else in the world. It's going to make it less safe for people to be Arab or Muslim in the United States. And it's heartbreaking. And today is Rosh Hashanah. It's a new year. We're supposed to be wishing for a sweet and happy new year. And we can wish for it, but I can't foresee it. All I can see is trouble before it gets any better, if it ever gets any better. Heartbreaking. All right. Speaking of heartbreaking, you want something uplifting?
Sure.
We have a little Tez talk, even though Tez isn't here. This is actually a very positive story. This is about the dead-ass birds, of course. So, as you know, England was built on coal, right? And
Yep.
Mostly, they found out there was coal in the ground. They dug it up and they learned how to burn it and make steam engines, and that gave them the Industrial Revolution, and they rocketed ahead of everybody, in the world. Environmental degradation be damned. And a lot of steel, all that stuff, right? So England's very tied to coal. We all know about the chimney sweeps and all the things and Mary Poppins and blah, 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 blah. Well, England has one coal-fired power plant still running, and it's about to turn off like this week. And when it does, they will be off of coal. No coal being burned in Great Britain at all. Huge. And it's a thing that really makes a big difference. It's a milestone for the country that was the first to harness the dirty fuel in the 19th century. Coal powered the Industrial Revolution, the expansion of the British Empire. At the height of its reliance on coal in the 1950s, about 96% of the UK's electricity came from burning it. 96%. That fell to zero Monday evening when the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power plant in the English Midlands shut off its turbines after 57 years. It was the country's last coal-fired plant. It's the first time in 142 years that there is no coal in the UK electricity system. They've replaced it all with things like wind, solar, geothermal, all of these other things, and natural gas, of course, and all of these things about like, oh, well, the baseline power and blah, blah, blah. Look, England's not a small place. England's got a lot of electrical demand. They are a big industrial economy. They can do it. The power plant went from burning 20 trainloads of coal a day. That's 2 million homes, or 1 billion cups of tea a day, as they measure it in England. It's going to take a couple years to decommission it, but tremendous achievement, and it proves it can be done. And if the British can do it, of course we can do it better, faster, stronger, whatever. Those limey fucks. You want to get Americans to do something, tell us somebody else did it and that we can't do it as well as they did. And then we'll be like, oh, yeah? Hold my beer. Right. Hey, Texas, England just got all the way off of coal. Bet you can't do that. Stop me. Come and stop me. Try and take it from my cold, dead hands. And windmills for everybody. Hopefully they give Trump cancer. All right. Speaking of Trump, this Trump trials and stupid Republican tricks. So, as you know, Donald Trump is on trial for trying to unmake the government on January 6th. Jack Smith has been working on refiling the case after the Supreme Court granted president's immunity, which Joe Biden has yet to use, but probably will if Kamala loses the election in November. It'll be time for SEAL Team 6 to finish this. So Jack Smith had to go back and refile a bunch of this stuff because he went and got another indictment. He re-indicted Trump with another grand jury, and which means that he has a good probability of prevailing with a regular jury. So he filed a 165-page filing. That's down from 180. The Trump folks complained. They said it's not fair that he's going to file a 180-page filing because we can't read that much, which is true. That is exactly what they said. And the judge was like, no, we're going to allow him to file it. So she allowed it to go forward. 165-page filing. It includes this bit about Mike Pence. It describes in more extensive detail than before how many people, including Mike Pence, party and state leaders, Trump's own campaign officials, his own campaign lawyers, and others told Trump that there was no proof that the election was stolen, and how Trump nonetheless waged a campaign to overturn the result. Also includes this great line. Prosecutors reconstructed behind-the-scenes interactions, including one in which an aide rushed into the dining room to share with Trump, who had been watching the events of January 6th on TV and tweeting that action was being taken to ensure the safety of Mike Pence, who was at the Capitol building. Trump looked at that aide and said, so what? Because he was like, yeah, whatever, hang him, doesn't care. It's unclear what, if any, electoral impact the filing might have. In a post on his fake Twitter after it was filed, Trump wrote, election interference in all caps. Great. Thanks, buddy. Filing is intended to show that Trump can still face trial for attempting to overturn Biden's electoral victory, which, again, we talked about, that the Republicans can't even admit that this even happened. They're all like, oh, January 6th didn't happen. It's like, y'all were hiding and waiting for the Capitol Police to come and save your ass too. Okay. So next time they're probably not gonna. All right, let's get on to the story that Brian really wants to talk about. Brian likes the wife swap. He's into the adult arts.
The adult mystic arts.
There you go. There's a whole category, right? About there was a show on TLC, Wife Swap, for a long time.
Yeah,
I think they took that from the pornography category. Is that right?
I would guess so. I remember originally it was on ABC.
Was it really on
Yeah,
ABC?
it was on ABC. Yeah, it was part of their crazy new
reality
stuff.
Okay, and what generally, when people refer to a wife swap in that context, are they referring to?
Okay, pretty much it's more of a sexual act. So
Okay.
it's part of the swinging community or the lifestyle community, as it's mainly called.
Gotcha. Okay. Follow along with me.
Okay.
So local to us is Virginia. It's the Commonwealth, as we know. It's where I happen to live. There is there are various congressional districts in Virginia. One of them is Virginia 7th. This is currently being contested by 2 Army veterans. One of them is named Eugene Vindman. You may remember him as having worked in the Trump White House and National Security Council and blowing the whistle on Trump on various accords, especially regarding the call to Ukraine. You might also remember that he has a twin brother named Alex Vindman, who also was also an Army officer, general, colonel, something or other, and also worked on the National Security Council. So Gene Vindman is running. He's running against a guy called Derek Anderson. Derek Anderson, that's Derek with 2 R's, for the extra racist. So Derek Anderson is running in Virginia 7. Now, these guys, apart from being Army vets, they don't have a lot in common, right? And it gets down to a lot of things like about the issues, right? Vindman is pro-choice. He's not racist. Derek Anderson is very much anti-woman, anti-immigration. He, won't say that January 6th didn't happen or what happened or whatever. But they also have something else that's very different between the two of them, which is that Gene Vindman is married with children, which he has featured in his ads, by the way. Mostly them calling him like an uncool dad. They're like, "Are you really wearing that?" And he's like, "What? It's cool." And they're like, "No, it's not." As a dad, I can relate. Derek Anderson does not have a wife or children.
Wait, these aren't his kids?
Now that's funny, you might say, because look at this picture right here. There he is standing outside with a woman and 3 young girls.
I like how it's all aligned.
They're all
small to the tall.
Head to shoulder, head to shoulder, head to shoulder. They're all exactly the right height.
Yeah.
And they're all smiling, looking at the camera. He also has this great ad where he's sitting with that same family at a kitchen table, discussing, the important family conversations that one has at a kitchen table. They're not his kids, not his family, not his wife.
It's busted.
Yeah, he's posing for a photo there with a woman and 3 girls that, it looks like a family, but it's not. Those are his neighbor's kids. His buddy, anyway. Anderson, former Army Green Beret, running for a seat in Congress in Virginia, who was filmed with the woman and her children in footage that was posted to his YouTube channel. He doesn't have kids of his own. He's not married. He does have a fiance.
Well, I have a picture of her, the fiance. So here's the fiance.
Yeah, so he does have a fiance, and she's appeared in ads also, because one of the things that Republicans have been trying to do is have their wives speak for them to try to make them look less anti-woman. But Derek doesn't have a wife. So he borrowed a wife and their kids and pretended that they were his for all of these. It's okay.
It's stupid.
It's very stupid.
There have been politicians in the past who weren't married, or they had a fiance, things of that nature, which was fine. I don't know why you would fake this, because everyone knows you have a fiance, so why would you have a fake family?
It's a stupid unforced error. Everybody knows you're not married, right? Nobody can remember your wedding. They can look it up in the registry. You're not married. What is this? Why pretend to be this thing when you're not? Knowing that we the people have the internet and can check.
Talk about fact checking.
Yeah, don't fact check me. Like, that we might look it up and be like, well, hey, now, and be like, and that the reaction we would all have is the reaction we're having right now. Hey, guy, that's weird. Why are you hanging out with and shooting campaign commercials with your friend's wife?
Your girlfriend's, your fiance is like,
Yeah.
hey, is how does like okay with it?
Yeah, like, okay, I have a wife and several children, right? And I have friends who have kids and whatever. And like, I'm friends with my friends' spouses, right? We might hang out. We might be together where it's like me and my friend's wife and all of our kids together while our spouses are off doing other things. That's a part of like being the village and raising children. It's totally normal. We're all doing that kind of thing. But to sort of pretend that they're yours, what do you think you're trying to accomplish here, Derek Anderson?
I'm a family man.
You're a family man who borrows somebody else's family. And you want us to trust you to be a congressman. Are you going to borrow somebody else's family in Congress? Are you going to like call up Canada and borrow one of their provinces? Like what are you trying to accomplish? That's weird. We had a congressional candidate on here, right? Essen Nasser was here, and there's not a chance on God's green earth that he would borrow somebody else's family because he's not a weirdo. It's an army. He's an army vet too, or active reserve, whatever. He would not borrow somebody's family. It's very strange, Derek.
Right now, I'm thinking if mind you, a lot of politicians uses a lot of popular artists' music, to introduce themselves.
Right.
Honestly, right now, I think Derek Anderson's theme song will be Hall & Oates' Family Man.
Yes.
I can picture it. And then all you'll say, just leave me alone. I'm a family man.
Right. Sure. That's a good one. Okay. Speaking of stuff that Brian's an expert in.
Yes.
Wonder Woman. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us
the Wonder Woman.
The real Wonder Woman.
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. Of Arizona.
Yes.
What is going on with Linda Carter in Arizona?
Apparently, I mean, mind you, Linda Carter, she is, she does live in Arizona, but before her husband's death lived here in DC.
But she was former Miss Arizona. She grew up.
Yes, she grew up there and everything. So
yeah, but she did live here.
Yeah, she did live here.
Yeah.
And mind you, when I saw this story, it was so ridiculous. So initially, Linda is, basically was giving her 2 cents because, mind you, I do follow her on Twitter, and she's knee deep in politics.
Oh yeah.
So she gave the green thumbs up to Karen Grissom and Kelly Butler in their respective districts to be, whatever their
state representatives,
stuff like that. The funny thing is, everybody was wondering, is like, isn't your sister running? And it's like, said, yeah, but no, I ain't voting for it. So she gave no compliance to her own sister.
No endorsement.
No, nothing. She just does not want her because, again, Linda Carter is pro-choice. She's, pretty much pro-woman because she's Wonder Woman.
She's Wonder
Woman. And Pamela is for whatever reason,
hates women.
Hates all that aspect. So, yeah.
She would trap all the women with the golden lasso.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait for Linda to come and free them, I guess.
Yes.
It's funny that this happened also in Arizona, though, because it reminds me of Paul Gosar, who is still a congressman from Arizona, whose family ran campaign ads against him. His siblings and his mom were like, don't vote for him. When your mom runs a campaign ad against you. Yeah. Also, he's a dentist. Just to be clear about that. Apparently not a very good one. He's very twitchy. But so if Linda Carter tells you to vote for these people, are you going to take her endorsement?
Hey, it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yes, of
You'll
course.
do anything she says.
Yes.
She makes you tell the truth.
Yes.
Isn't that how the whole thing works?
That's how it works. I
She
mean,
puts the lasso on you and makes you tell the truth.
Yes.
Why didn't she try that on her sister?
Her sister's been lying for years. So.
Her sister also looks a little weird. Do you have that? Put that picture back up. Who is this? Oh no, I'm sorry. That was JD Vance. I got them confused again. Yeah, no, that's her sister with the weird plastic surgery face next to JD Vance and his eyeliner. I don't know which of them has more eyeliner on in that photo.
I think it's him.
Yeah.
It is a little bit darker than normal.
He's got that Sarah Huckabee Sanders smoky eye going. JD Vance looks like a shovel that got hit in the head with a shovel. Like that's his forehead is trying to take over the rest of his head. That's why his eyes are. JD Vance looks like what would happen if you found the least popular kid in school and then made him fuck a couch. Okay. Any sports predictions for the week, Brian? How are the Ravens going to do? Who are you all playing?
We are facing Cincinnati. Cincinnati came off of their big win over the Panthers.
Yeah.
We got off our big win with the Bills. So it's our first divisional game. I say this a lot on my sports show, No Filters Rewards, and other shows. I say you properly need to evaluate a team after the first 5 weeks of the season. And because now, since there's no preseason games for the starters, you really don't get a sense of how your team's going to be in the season.
Yeah, the rust isn't shaking off or anything.
So roughly I'd say this is the game where I really determine where this team is going, and get a feel of how this season's going to be for the remaining 12 games. All in all, I think it'll be an interesting game because the Bengals are kind of like trying to find themselves, which is kind
they're
of
a better
weird.
team than their record shows, which is true of the Ravens too. Like they're a better team than the record shows.
Yeah. So, and again, we are us and the Bengals are the victims of the bad refereeing. So yeah, we'll see how this game goes.
We're gonna riot and throw poop on the walls.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's how that works.
But I know that your Commanders will be hosting Cleveland.
Yeah, we're playing the original. Well,
they're the remade.
We're the remade Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Who are woeful. I mean, they are a disorganized mess of an organization there. So
honestly, I don't. Ever since they got rid of the guy we're watching now is Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's like ever since they let him go, fire the coaching staff who brought him in. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like I was rooting for this team to fully improve and really be a contender.
The version of the Bears, of the Browns.
Yeah.
I thought that was a redemption story we all wanted to see.
And I kind of agree with how the Browns fans have been for these last couple of years. It's like, what the fuck we did this for? And it's just got. I mean, pretty much they want to shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, that's pretty much like owner and management. It is like it just doesn't make sense.
Is Deshaun playing this week?
No, it's going to be Winston.
Okay,
so he's there.
Famous Jameis.
Yep.
Whew.
So that's going to be interesting too.
All right. Well, I anticipate 3 or 4 interceptions then. Yeah. Also in other football, Everton's playing Magpies. We're probably going to get creamed, but we do get to see our former child star Tony Gordon. Love it when they have success on other teams.
And an update, they're still in the midst of the Man City, trial, so to speak. So they're, we shall see how this goes because I think the verdict is in November. So
yeah, by all counts, they should have everything vacated, but that's not going to happen. So they've got.
We got to keep things normal.
Yeah, they need the Saudi money. All right. Also, of course, as we mentioned, the Orioles are out, which I take to mean that they have gracefully allowed me to focus on the upcoming Washington Capitals season. So I now have room in my brain for focus on hockey.
Yes.
And then basketball, where I would have been paying attention to playoff baseball.
Yes.
I can now
yeah, for me, it's just now football.
safely stop paying attention to that.
Yeah, me, it's Ravens football. So
and Michigan's not playing this weekend, so we can't lose. Okay, that's it. We've come to the end of the show.
Wow.
Sort of on time.
It's still Thursday.
It's still Thursday. Want to say a big thank you to Tarek Davis for being so cool and hanging out with us. We can't wait to have you back. Thank you to our radio partners, DC Comics, Marvel, and of course, Universe. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on another week, maybe. Don't know. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks to the Podcast Awards. We did not win, but it was nice to be nominated. It was kind of cool.
What?
Yeah, I know. It was rigged. It was rigged. If we don't win, it's rigged. And Jon Stewart also didn't win. We were in the same category. So we did as well as Jon Stewart in that category. So yeah. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway Radio for making us sound as smooth as JD Vance's eyeliner. All right, Brian, where can everybody get you on the socials?
You can find me at the real BTB Picks 1 or no_filter_sports_2.5. And that's about it. You can find me.
All right.
In relation to this.
Yeah. And you can find me and the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can, of course, find us every Thursday night here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm Chip. That's Brian. We miss you, Tez. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and Beyond. Street Balls.
When our guest is early bird. In conclusion, the message is to go out and serve folks, whether that's through art, music, or if you just tell jokes. We seek to medicate your ears, hope you eradicate your fears. And thanks for sticking with us through all of these years.